six, five, four, three, two, one.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk. On the morning shift, I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on terrestrial radio. We're also streaming live on internet radio at cklu.ca. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app. And you can stream us if you download the same Radio Player Canada app. You can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. And we're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page, and we'll be found on demand on those two platforms immediately following the show, along with x.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, which is our news aggregator, all the local news into one website. Easy to find, easy to use, and service to our community and to the local news outlets where they can just have all their news right there. And when they click on the news story on our website, goes right to their website, and they get the revenue from the eyeballs from their stories. And so it's a service to them. They don't have to pay us anything for that. And with that, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow, as I mentioned, but mainly comment. Today, we'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching. Might not be able to read most of them because we have special guests joining us. Bob Johnson and Tom Price will be with us immediately following the weather, talking about the latest in terms of their analysis with the city. They've become pretty outspoken advocates for people who don't have that big of a voice in the city, really. And they become kind of I guess the city views it as a thorn in their side, but from what I can see, they're just basically pointing out different facts, whether it be on Bob's side, homeless, and on Tom's price, the finances, and how we're going about funding some of these legacy projects that we're looking in the future of doing. So anyways, we'll look forward to having a conversation with them immediately following the weather, and they're standing by in the green room, so I'm looking forward to welcoming them. But let's get the weather out of the way, and then we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show, I promise, or your money back. And Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently, it is... today the high is going to be 29, but it's 16 degrees. There is a heat warning today, just so everyone's aware. 16 degrees. Let's see if the date is right on here. No, we're going to get... I already refreshed the page. I might as well refresh it again just to see what happens. And, it looks like they're going to do this again to us. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm not sure why it is what it is. So it's going to be hot today. There's going to be a chance of showers, thunder showers today. And it's going to be very hot with the humidex. It could get up to 36 degrees. And pretty crazy stuff there. So make sure to stay inside if you can. And if you have breathing problems, you got some of that smoke still that's coming from us to us from wherever. And then Thursday there's a 60% chance of showers. That's tomorrow with a high of 16. It's going to cool off a little bit. Friday, sunny and 25. Mix of sun and cloud on Saturday, high of 23. 40% chance of showers on Sunday, high of 25, and a mix of sun and cloud on Monday, Hive 27. That's the Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with Tom Price, Bob Johnston, and your comments right after this. Okay, and as promised, we have, looks like Bob Johnston's coming on here first this morning. Welcome, Bob. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. You?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Just having a few internet issues, but nothing new. We still, get the show going regardless of all the glitches that we have. And we have many this morning, but I'm just kind of ignoring them. But technology, I'm sure we all have to deal with it. So it's something everyone can relate to. But we're here. We're on the radio. We're live. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube Live. And we have an opportunity to discuss issues that I think many Sudburyans think are important. And what is it that you've been working on lately?
We've been basically right across the board. First of all, good morning, everybody. And I'd just like to give a recap on what's going on in the streets of Sudbury. There's been a lot of drug busts and guns and so on put out forward now. Our homeless are still thriving in the bush. There's only 6 tents in Energy Court, and the addictions have been spread from Medina Lane from here to Chelmsford. So it's going right across the city now. They've moved from Medina Lane to Cedar Street. From Cedar Street, they got pushed out. Now they're on Large Street by 199. They're just going street by street, pushing them out and so on. There's a lot of addicts who went in the bush. And there's a lot of people who are stating that, we're going to find needles. We're going to find needles. Well, my friends, let's don't worry about the needles. Let's worry about them not having Narcan kits. Let's worry about them not having any help to survival. And let's worry about us not finding the bodies. So the needles, that's one thing. But we're in a real mess. Anybody who chases addictions and spreads them out all the way through town where nobody can actually help, I can't understand how they think and what they're thinking.
So as far as you know, what is the city's kind of what's their plan here? You're working with the homeless on a daily basis. Is this the plan, just to kind of break them all up and spread them all out so that way? What's the reason for that? What are they trying to accomplish? What do you think their goals are?
Their goals are trying to impress the people for downtown about their arena. Sorry, about their lying arena. I should correct that. So now that you brought that up, me and a good friend of mine who's an architect attended that meeting. I believe it was June 25th.
So the city had an open house kind of thing where people could come down and see the plans that they've had for downtown Sudbury over the last, years, like 30 years or something like that. And people had a chance to comment or something, fill out a survey or something on all these projects. And that's an opportunity, I guess the city said, where they can hear the public's views on some of their ideas for downtown. Is that correct?
All it was pretty pictures.
Okay.
We asked 20 questions. We couldn't get one answer.
And who was there to answer questions from the public?
They had 7 managers. One of the head managers was there. And now Mr. Sakuti, who called us liars, and the arena would be built for $200 million max, he was not there. And now he's got a new title of project manager. And I don't know what kind of role that is, because there's no truth to anything. If you drive around Tom Davey Square right now, you see the infrastructure being done, the hydro getting put in underneath the underground, et cetera, because that comes out of a different pot. And I know we're pressured for time, so what I want to do is just throw out a couple things about our debt load. Okay.
Okay.
I believe in 2014 we were 17 or 19 million dollars in debt. Our forecast is going to be about 750 million to a billion dollars when all is said and done, with the arena costs, the library hub. They want 75 million for the water treatment center on David Street in Wanapitei. We were looking at the bridge on College Street, that's got to be repaired. Our roads, they want 75 million each year for 10 years to fix the roads. Well, by the time you get to the end of that, you got to restart again. Like, where's it going to end? You know? And just a simple math question for the people out there who's still not grasping this arena. Dario Zulich is not involved with building this arena.
Correct.
Except for the teams. Number one, because I've got a lot of comments on my Facebook stating that he is. Well, he is not. Okay.
I mean, he does have a bit of a say, and I guess they might, you know, if you know what I mean, they might ask him or consult him and say, "What do you think of this?" But he's not involved. Like, he's not part of the team that are managing the construction of this.
Or funding.
At the end of the day, is he opening his wallet towards this? No. Okay. Why these like Mr. Sakuti and his 200 million kills me, because why would you borrow $225 million when you only need 200 million? Is there any logic to that? No. But because it's $200 million in Sakuti's eyes, plus there's no interest on that, with $189 million interest over a 30-year period. Okay, you're at 389 million right there. There's only a shell. And on that note, let's bring up parking, and I'm going to pass that to Tom Price.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And I know the Fraser Institute just came out with a report on the finances of Sudbury and pointed out that we were like 5th or 6th in Ontario in terms of the debt per person. And after we're done our borrowing, or what we're forecasting to borrow, we're going to be the highest in debt municipality out of all of Ontario. Each particular citizen will be in the hole $3,333 per person, which would be the highest in Ontario. And again, our local media hasn't really, well, thanks to the Sudbury Star, at least for shedding some light on and publicizing the fact that the Fraser Institute made that report. CBC Radio downsized it to, it's a little over 3,000, and then, in other news, they didn't really kind of pull it apart, but at least Sudbury Star just said Fraser Institute did a report and this is what it is. And then they put a link to the report and let each citizen be able to make up their own minds, which I really appreciate that type of journalism. Did you see that report, Tom? And good morning, by the way.
Yeah, good morning. And yes, I have a copy of that report. And I would just like to correct an impression that people have. When they report a $3,000 debt per citizen, that is per citizen. So if you have a family, a wife and 2 children, that's 4 citizens in your home. So your home has a debt of $12,000, not 3.
So it's per person, not per household,
and not per taxpayer. It's per person, per citizen.
Ouch. So your infant, whatever, was just born yesterday. They're born into the world with $3,333 debt due to the, and then is that per year?
Well, that's the debt, and unless you pay it down, and they have no way of paying it down, so it's there constant. It's an overriding debt that you can't get rid of. The only way you can get rid of it is for the city to stop spending money. Okay, stop borrowing. And so, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have some inside news that the city is going to announce there's going to be a new casino pretty much any day. we're not sure where it's going to go, but I'm pretty sure they're going to say, well, this is a way to, cover some of that debt. All the proceeds from the casino will, soften the debt load. And they're keeping it pretty hush-hush for some reason. I don't know why, but until they announce it. But I got a feeling that the public relations is going to say, so it won't be as bad for debt. So this casino will be a revenue stream to soften the blow of the debt that the city is going into.
That's just a big lie. We only get 5% of what they collect in the casino. The other 95% goes to OLG and to Gateway. So they're going to bleed, what is 95 divided by 5? Okay. They're going to bleed that out of the community. They're going to impoverish the community by 95 times that debt, having a casino. As well, the big names entertainment, all of that money leaves our community. If they do ever manage to get to the 5,800, for whoever they get in as an entertainer, even with that, the PricewaterhouseCoopers study indicated that even with that, Greater Sudbury would be losing $1 million a year on the event center.
So you're saying according to an official report by, is it Pricewaterhouse? Is that who you said it was?
Yes, in 2017.
So even according to this report, even if we were functioning at capacity and, it was always rented and there was always something going on and it was running as efficient as possible, we'd still be losing $1 million a year?
That's just operating costs without having to repay the debt.
Okay.
Repaying the debt would be another $14 million on top of that. So Sudbury taxpayers will be on the hook for $14 million or $15 million loss. Now, if you think about that, that's a pretty grim situation, but that's what we will be paying. We're already paying part of that on our taxes already. We're paying the interest and the principal on the bullet debenture for the KED. We've been paying that since 2020. Okay, what have we got for it? We got an empty lot in downtown Sudbury. So now, if you look at the need for that arena, the need for hockey has been on a downward trend for 27 years, since 1997, okay? It's been in a downtrend and it's still continuing down. The only difference on that was the last 2 years, the average attendance was at 3,800. That's a long ways from 5,800. So what they're telling everybody is, hey, if we build extra seats, people will come. We can magically bring that 3,800 number up to 5,800. From where? Two consultants have told us there's no tourism from southern and south of Sudbury. We only have from here to Hudson Bay to collect those other 2,800 people. Are those people going to come from Attawapiskat? Diva, if you want it, come on.
Yeah, we talked about that on the last show. That I guess according to their preliminary research, they used as their potential market as being, like you said, all of Northern Ontario. Where are they going to come? They're more than likely going to come for Costco before they're going to come for a particular, go to the library or go to a Sudbury Wolves game. Now, mind you, they might come for a concert. So let's say a big name act is coming into town, whatever, you name them, and someone in Timmins or someone in Timbuk 3 in, up, as far north as you can get in Ontario might come down for a concert, possibly. But again,
Timmins tried that 2 years in a row in the summertime. They lost $1 million a year. So Pricewaterhouse is correct. We're going to lose $1 million a year. So
why did we pay for that consulting for that report, the city?
Yeah, That was the initial report that ended up going to the KED.
Okay.
That was, they stated that unequivocally in that report. They didn't pull any punches. They said that our market area was limited from Sudbury north to Hudson Bay shoreline and from the Quebec border to the east shore of Lake Superior. Okay? They never made any concessions about market area south of Sudbury at all. Okay. Looking to that, the only thing that killed the downtown arena was parking. And now, magically, parking is no longer an issue.
And how is that? And how is that it's magically no longer an issue? Like is it just because they have a wand, or they can just make parking issues go away? I heard, again, I guess just in a public announcement, they said, well, parking's not an issue. I remember them making a statement like that. You can just park anywhere. Just park along the streets, and there's plenty of parking downtown, and it's in walking distance, you know?
On June 25th, okay, when they made the presentation of the updated master plan, downtown master plan, that updated downtown master plan shows 3 parking structures. One on, not August Street, what's the other one that runs parallel to the railway track?
Larch Cedar.
No, it runs parallel right down along the railway track. Anyhow, it doesn't matter.
If it's on the other side, it's Riverside, but on this side it's Elgin, so I'm not sure what other street.
Is it Elgin? Okay. Well, there's one there right next to the Bridge of Nations. Okay. There's one on Larch Street where the old, and maybe this is why they allowed the Salvation Army to go bankrupt in that place, but there's a parking structure shown there, and there's a parking structure shown in Energy Court with a pedestrian bridge across the rail tracks from Cedar Street. Now, at 20 below zero, are you going to go to a hockey game, walk up to that bridge over the railway track, cross that bridge to get to your car? Okay, so is it going to be a closed bridge? And if it's a closed bridge, that's a $5 to $7 million project right there.
I was just going to say the cost would be sky high for an enclosed one. Yep.
And it will become a home for the homeless. Because if it's closed, the weather isn't going to be in there. And who's going to police it to make sure the homeless don't take up residence in that? So all of this stuff, and this is all, I can forward you a copy of the plan that they had at that meeting.
Yeah. And
it's very clear, the 3 parking structures. So how does security get off saying there is no parking issue when their own plans indicate that there are?
But that's the thing. They can just say whatever they want, right? And just say it's the truth. Yeah. And anyone who opposes it, you have no right doing it. It's misinformation. You're spreading misinformation if you don't agree with what they say. But obviously, I think what happens is when you get hired at the city, you immediately start having some sort of amnesia, or you go through some kind of invasion of the body snatchers. You start going to work in that great and spacious building downtown, and you start losing all concept of what any regular everyday person does or thinks, and you start believing, or they must have some Kool-Aid down there that you drink or something, because you just start losing all kind of touch with reality. And again, they think people can't tell. They think people are that dumb. And again, when I heard this thing, parking's not an issue. Parking's been an issue since day one, even for the old arena. It just has. And that's why we haven't been able to pack that place. You look at the Sioux, they pack that place every time, no matter what. Any regular season game, there's only standing room tickets, even if that. Sometimes there's not even standing room tickets. You can always get a ticket to the Sudbury Wolves or the Sudbury 5. There's never a time where you can't get a ticket. And that's, I would say, solely due to the parking. Solely. Because we are a cold climate and we're in Northern Ontario. A lot of times there could be a storm, whatever, you got to drive. And if you don't have a safe place in close proximity to the actual event that you're going to. You're just going to say, you know what, it's too much. It's too much to go. I'm not going to go.
Exactly. And our last discussion on your show, we had talked about the reason for Councillor Perrin suggesting that he'd have to wait till September to find out the real cost.
Yes.
And I believe the response to you was, well, that's to find places where they can hide the overruns. Well, they're finding the places now. Those 3 parking structures, they're going to tell you that, but those will be private investment. The key word, though, in that is it's incentivized parking, okay, by private industry. And who's going to pay private industry for those parking structures? The people of Sudbury. So it doesn't matter whether those parking structures are a private build or whether it's a city build, the taxpayers are still going to get dinged for it. All 3 of them. So where do they get off saying that, well, oh no. And at the same time, you can look at the infrastructure work that's going on around where the arena is supposed to go. Why is that infrastructure getting done with precedence over areas in much worse condition? Well, it's because of the arena event center. But, oh, no, that's infrastructure, so that doesn't apply to the arena costs. Bull. Class D estimates, according to the Canadian Standard for Construction Estimates on public projects, says that parking will be part of it. The infrastructure changes necessary will be part of it. That's just for Class D. When you get to the higher class estimate, it gets even more stringent. So they're misleading everybody. Are they lying? Well, to lie, you have to know that you're telling an untruth. They may not even know that they're telling a lie.
Well, at least you're being nice in that regard, is just at least opening it up the fact that they might not realize some of the facts and that they're not out and out knowingly misinforming the citizenry of Sudbury.
Yeah, but in fact, they are misleading. Now, whether they're doing it knowingly or doing it unintentionally, that's a bad on a counselor.
So can I just say something? Just again, it's just the common sense in me, as just thinking like a regular everyday person. I just can't help it. Are you allowed to use common sense over the radio? Yeah, I am, because I'm not paid. I'm not paid.
Okay.
And no advertisers are going to tell. The only thing I have to say, and I'll say it now, is that our conversation right now, the views I have, the views you have, the views the commenters are putting up on the screen right now, are that of ourselves and only ourselves, and don't necessarily reflect those of Laurentian University's faculty or staff or board of directors or anyone at CKLU's board of directors or volunteers or anyone. They are that of our own. We take responsibility for our own comments. And other than that, that's it. And we're on community radio, which I believe is so cool that we still have it. It's a really great institution that Sudbury. I'm glad that we still have it, and it's supported by people listening. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have it. And it's just so important. So yeah, I can say what I feel, and I say my common sense self just says, if we are going to go, we're slated to go to being the number one city, with the highest debt in Ontario. So how per capita, like per person, how is that going to work? Is that good? Like, how can that be a good thing? Like, I could see if, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if the city was proposing a plan where they're going to say, don't worry, we're going to go really far into debt now, but the reason is because we're building infrastructure or we're building projects that are going to create the revenue that's then going to pay that debt off, and it's not going to go on the taxpayers. Like, if I was to hear that type of narrative, then I would be like, well, oh, okay, well, I can see, any particular business venture requires investment. And if you're going to get a return, ROI, return on that investment, then as a taxpayer, I could say, okay, I'm not going to be on the hook for this thing. But that's not what we're hearing. No, we're not hearing. No. So this is my common sense. If you're going to go in the most debt out of any other municipality, you're going to be the number one most in debt municipality in all of Ontario, which is already one of the most in debt provinces in Canada, the most socialist provinces, maybe arguably behind BC. Then, wow, that's who's paying for all this, and what is that going to look like in a few years for each taxpayer? You know, that's coming right out of your pocket, and like you mentioned, it's not coming out of per household. $3,333. That's per person, and not even per taxpayer. That's per 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old in Sudbury. So that's pretty crazy high stuff. So isn't that the way like anyone else thinks who's listening to this or watching this?
Well, there's two things to go with that, AJ, and one is that debt does not include personal debt. And Greater Sudbury has one of the highest percentages of people maxed out on personal debt in the province. So add that to the highest debt that you were just talking about. Where are they going to get the money? These people can't take any more debt. Okay, so there's that aspect to it. The other aspect is, where are you going to find industry that will come into a city that will not maintain their roads? And in fact, our new CAO, one of her little talks to the news media, said that we may have to alter the infrastructure recovery, and we may have to sacrifice some preventative maintenance. Well, we've been sacrificing preventative maintenance for 25 years. That's how we got the infrastructure debt. And she wants to eliminate some preventative maintenance. Does that mean that after 2 years, we're not going to do the maintenance on the new event center? Probably, because we won't have any money to do it. And maybe she's already recognized that. I don't know. But if she hasn't, and she's saying that as a means of getting money to do whatever they want to do, then she's way off board. And no wonder she was let go from Mississauga, if that's her thinking.
And that's the one thing. I know the Sudbury Star ran a bio of her the other day. It was all positive. But she go ahead.
Of course, every person that's been fired and we've hired has had a positive bio.
Yeah.
Isn't it amusing, eh? And why did they get fired? Everything is positive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'd like to know why they got fired, but we're not privy to know. We're not even privy to know why Ed Archer was fired. The mayor just said, "Oh, we're just going to move on," but he was fired. You don't get fired and say, "Well, we're just looking at just moving on and changing." There's a reason why you're fired, and we didn't get that reason here in this city. We did not get the reason why he was fired, and we didn't get the reason why our new CAO was fired from her former job as a CAO of another municipality.
Yeah. And one of the things I know in private industry, if you get fired from a company, the next company you apply to, they ask why you got fired. Mm-hmm. They want to know. And they will check with the previous company.
Now, again, as a common sense thinking Sudburian, like I think there's many of us out there, I think, well, this new CAO comes in and they're just going to be a puppet for the administration and the bureaucracy that already existed anyways. Okay, you want a new job, you want to make $400,000 a year or whatever you're going to make. This is the way the city functions. Are you willing to go along with it? Yeah, I'm willing to say you will just sacrifice some infrastructure and stuff like that and everything's good. Okay, you're hired. Yeah. Am I wrong on this or what? Am I off?
Not from my point of view. You're definitely money.
Okay. So that's.
You mentioned the number of 400,000 a year. I've heard that that's what we're paying her.
Yeah, I know. I saw the number. It's in between the high 300,000s and just below 500,000, and I'll find the exact amount because it's on the sunshine list. You just have to go Ed Archer's salary sunshine list, and you'll see what he was paid, and it was really high. It was around the $400,000 a year mark.
If that's true, then our mayor is guilty of highway robbery, literally. Because the only way she can make that money is to take money that should be going to roads. So therefore, it is highway robbery.
And City of Sudbury, on top of now going to be the most in debt, we've gone from 6th just recently, and we used to be, what do we say? Like in the, the tens of millions of in debt, just, I don't know, 15 years ago, tens of millions?
Tens of millions in 2014. It was 19 million.
19 million in 2013.
2007, Fraser Institute, Signatio, indicates that we'll be at 600 million.
At 600 million coming up after they borrowed the rest of the money that they're looking at borrowing for the legacy projects, including the new entertainment center. Then that puts us, that's a huge jump in terms of debt for a city without any kind of, like I said, if you're saying you're going to build something, like let's say we're going to build this mining infrastructure or something that the city's going to own, and we're going to make millions off of it or something. Because it's going to be a partner, private, public partnership, and the city's going to get revenue from it. Well, then I'm all in. I'm like, yeah, that's business 101. That's a really great idea. It's going to create revenue. It's going to soften the blow for taxpayers, but there's none of this. There's no business people in the city. There's no people who think like a business person. They think like government, and they just think the taxpayers have endless amounts of money that can always just keep taking and taking and taking, and they can just do whatever they want. No accountability, no transparency, and integrity. That's supposed to be the pillars that Sudbury's on. I know Mike Parent says integrity, accountability, transparency are part of the pillars of the city. That's part of what they say they want to achieve. So far, fail on those three, and I'm not sure what the other pillars are, but so far as I can see, we're not doing very well on those things.
Well, you have business experience. If this new event center can attract up to 5,800 attendees, that's an 80% increase over what the average has been for the last 10 years. Okay, 80% increase. Now, with an 80% increase in attendance and higher rates, if you were a business person, why would you not, and it was real, why would you not be clamoring to be able to be a part owner in that?
Oh, for sure. Because I get return on my investment, yeah.
I haven't seen anybody come forward from the business world to say, hey, I want a piece of that action. And there's lots out there with cash to spare that they could. They know it's a loser. They're not investing. When we borrowed on the bullet debenture for the KED, the banks wouldn't even lend us money for it. We had to go a debenture route to get money. Now, when banks won't lend you money for an enterprise like that, doesn't that tell our people on council anything? I mean, that should have been a red flag. Hey, there's no potential for this. Besides, Price Waterhouse told us there wasn't. Very clearly in their report. They said without the parking, forget it. Okay? And they ruled out the downtown. The single factor that ruled out the downtown was they were given a 4 on parking. Now Mr. Chakudi is telling us, well, the parking is really a 1. So is Price Waterhouse lying?
And what is he basing that on, as far as you know? What is he said
well,
he's based that on?
Got a report that says he's got a report that says that there's lots of dispersed parking to cover it. Then why does the town have 3 new parking structures in it?
And what report is he referring to that says it's different than the Price Waterhouse report?
They had J.L. Richards do a study apparently on parking. I haven't seen the report. I haven't seen it on the internet or published on any of their meetings or anything.
But aren't they supposed to? Isn't that part of transparency, accountability, and integrity? There's like did you look for it? Were you not able to find the report?
I haven't been able to find it. And believe me, I looked because I wanted to see what J.L. Richards had to say, because they are an engineering company. And if they're lying, I'd like to know.
Maybe we can reach out to them directly and say, apparently you've done us.
They won't give it to you. That's a privacy issue with the city. They're under contract.
But aren't you the city, though?
If they did, the city would sue them.
But aren't you and I the city, though, when you really look at it? Aren't we the city?
Apparently not, no.
Okay. Because they're under contract with the city. The people that we, hire and pay their salaries for have contracted these guys, and now, they're not telling us what's in the report. Oh, they're telling us what's in the report, but we can't see it. So that's what's going on.
AJ, the hot in place recycling of road surfacing, the report that was issued on that, we still have no idea why the contractor was removed. Because that report is just all garbage. There's nothing in it that is of value.
So the people that are just joining us, we're talking with Tom Price and Bob Johnson here on the show, and we're they're critical of the city. Bob Johnson more on the vulnerable population, people that are struggling on the streets, and then Tom Price more the finances kind of thing. The city more critiquing the decisions they're making on that end. And we're now talking about how much debt that we're going into in the city, and particularly the idea of these reports that are made, and are they made public? Can we read them? And there was a report on a contractor that came into the city with a really, innovative idea and product, and was resurfacing the Kingsway. They take the old asphalt, and it's a machine that goes along the road. It mulches up the old asphalt in front of it, brings it into the machine, adds some new stuff to the asphalt, so recycles the old asphalt, and then puts it down on the back end, and then paves the road. So you're saving money, you're recycling, it's good for the environment, it's all good everywhere. But somehow the city gave a contract, or at least a pilot. It was like a pilot the city was doing with this company, and they shut them down midway into their project on the Kingsway, and then had to tell the media and the citizens why they shut it down. And there's obviously supposed to be a report, and we're supposed to know why they did it, because as far as I know, the city's done subpar paving all through, I don't know, as long as I can remember. They're probably not even doing any of the standards of paving. There's probably inferior product, inferior way that they're laying it down. It crumbles within a couple of years, and they have to put that tar stuff on it and seal it, and then eventually they got to repave it every 4 or 5 years. So as far as I know, the city hasn't done a really great job paving in the first place. But now they came right out and said, "Oh no, this company isn't keeping up to all the standards. They're not so many inches down. The product is, not up to par." And meanwhile, they're using recycled product from the asphalt that was already there. So if they find that the product isn't up to par, why? Because that's the product they're using that was formerly put down. Anyways, there's lots of stuff going on here, but they were stopped mid-project, and now they supposedly have a report on this, or did they even say they had a report, or what?
Oh no, they actually published a report condemning the company. Okay. 2 years ago, that report, and it was done by WSP here in town, plus the city. Now, who did which part of it? I have no idea, and it really doesn't matter to me, because most of it is garbage anyway. Even, you have footnotes in reports that refer to where you got your information. They have 9 of those in that report, and none of them refer to anything related to the situation.
You're
Not
kidding.
one of them.
Wow.
No, I'm copies of everything that they referred to. None of them do.
See, that they're hoping that I know they're hoping that there's not people like you out there that actually read these things. You know that.
I know. I used to do this for a living, AJ. So I want to know what those footnotes say. They actually referred to an obsolete MTO standard that hasn't been a standard since 2019. They withdrew it because it had wrong information, and they published a new one. They referred to the outdated one, okay, that you can't even purchase anymore. Okay, the new one doesn't have what they're claiming is in, and it was in the old one, but it was wrong. Okay, so MTO corrected that. They didn't use the new one; they used the outdated one. That's the one they referred to in this report they issued. Why? Well, the only conclusion I can come to is they wanted to kill this guy from doing any work in Sudbury.
So why was he hired in the first place?
Because of public pressure to test this system. Then they did not test it. They did not test it. They called it a pilot project. Everything in the contract and everything else says pilot project. I've seen a memo from our former manager of infrastructure development, Mr. Chakudi, stating that, well, that wasn't our interpretation of a pilot project. This was just a test. Well, then it should have been a test in the contract. The gentleman that did the work was doing his job as a pilot. And by the way, he proved out that he could do it. Even in the stuff that they said he couldn't, he did it. He had to make some adjustments, and the adjustments he had to make were what they condemned him on. Well, that's the whole purpose of a pilot project. Find out what you have to do to make it good. So he made those adjustments, and you see the results on the Kingsway right now. You can go out there and drive on it. It's beautiful. So he did solve his problems. And that's the whole purpose of a pilot project.
So for people, saying, okay, I'm actually going to pay attention the next time I'm on the Kingsway. Which patch are we talking about? From what business to what business on the Kingsway?
It's the smooth part.
So it shouldn't be that hard to know.
If you drive out going Kingsway East, if you drive out there, you'll be on the smooth portion, which is the passing lane. The curb lane, very few people are using it because it's so rough and in god-awful condition.
So is it right around Costco or past Costco if you're coming from downtown?
You know where the Tim Hortons is on past 3rd Avenue?
Yes.
Getting closer to the dump?
Yep.
Okay. Well, from 3rd Avenue out to the dump turnoff, that center lane, the passing lane, and the paved median. They actually had him do the paved median on a big coast of it. Why? Nobody drives on the paved median, do they?
No.
Well, maybe they do. But no, you can try it anytime you like. You just go out there. All you gotta do is look for the smooth pavement and you're on it.
So do you think the city said, okay, there's pressure from people, they hear this technology out there, it'll save the city a lot of money. We got a lot of roads and we need a solution to these poor roads. We're known for our roads, unfortunately, and not a good way. And do you think they had the pressure and they said, okay, we'll get this guy in and we'll get him to start and we'll just find something wrong with him and we'll write a report and he'll be out of here before you can say.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
I don't know what else it could be because he did what he was supposed to do. And by the way, he's suing the city, but he's not suing for money. He's suing to have the judge tell the city to let him finish his contract.
Wow.
That's what he's doing.
Now that's integrity. Okay. That's integrity.
You got it.
And he just wants to keep his integrity. He wants to keep his good name because, the fact that you lost a contract and it's public, right? People can Google this and say, oh, you lost a contract in Sudbury. You must have done something wrong, right? And if he's not vindicated in court with this, then, it hurts his business. It hurts his reputation.
Oh, absolutely. And they published that report that the city did on the internet.
Exactly.
How bad the work he'd done. And it wasn't that report. And the city hasn't retracted the report off the internet.
Now, I'm not saying this is the... Go ahead.
That's international.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
That's
this is...
people in the U.S. and everywhere that this guy did a bad job.
Yeah, and if he had aspirations to go international with his business, that hurts his business. So I'm not going to say this is the case in Sudbury, but I'm going to say it's a possibility. We've heard that, there's a lot of corruption in cities like Montreal, if we're going to use a Canadian example. A lot of them are in the construction industry and things like that, and there's a lot of palms that get greased and stuff. And I would see this guy as a threat to that particular racket that happens where... a lot of corruption, a lot of money goes out. And where's a lot of the expenses for the city that goes out? It goes out to our infrastructure and our roads and construction contracts. And so there's a lot of money here at stake. And if this guy comes in and does a bang up job for half the money and a way better job, people then they lose their gravy train. And, I know corruption is possible. I know where there's this much money at stake, it forms corruption, it attracts corruption. So I might as well just call a spade and say Sudbury is not immune to corruption. And who are going to be the first people to look into it, expose it, make it possible to have people understand that that's the way things work? I don't know.
Well, you have to appreciate that the shave and pave, and I call it scratch and patch, but the shave and pave program is perpetual income for the people doing it, okay? As well as pothole patching, that's perpetual income. They have work guaranteed year-round now. Because I don't know whether you noticed the last rainstorms, the potholes reappeared. But we didn't have a freeze-thaw cycle. So that excuse, Mr. Chakuti's been lying to council for how many years that it's freeze-thaw cycle that does it? And yes, I'm going to accuse him of lying on that, because as an engineer, if he didn't know, he ought to have known that it wasn't the freeze-thaw cycle. It was the water.
For sure. I think it's just basic engineering myself, right? Common sense.
Very basic.
And again, they don't realize that people understand these things. They just think it's the emperor had no clothes. That's exactly what's happening at City Hall. Until they wake up, they're going to see that there's an election coming next year. And I said, oh my goodness, this is going to be an interesting time, because if they don't get this in order now and get the people duped to be able to reelect them, and then what happens? All these big projects, they borrowed all this money, and then none of them are voted back in. Now we have a new council, and this is just wow. It's crazy to think. What they're doing. There's no. Hey, what's that?
We've got to hope for it, and we've got to work towards that.
Yeah, well, that's a good possibility of what's going on, because people were fed up last election, and they thought they could elect. I knew Paul Lefebvre would get in, but I knew what party he came from, and I know where his loyalties lie. And now we're seeing, a lot of similarities to the federal government of just borrow, spend, and with no accountability. The budget balances itself, so on and so forth, kind of thing, statements like that. It's not good for whether it's a municipality, a province, a country, and it's got to stop at some point. And wow. I don't know what we can do. It's like a big machine that's rolling along and trying to stop a locomotive at this point. But we'll just do our best to have the conversation and continue it and try to look at the facts rather than the feelings, and really try and educate people as to what those facts are. So thank you very much, Tom. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, but you guys are always welcome back on the show anytime.
Okay. Thank you for being there.
Okay, thanks as well, Bob, for being on. We appreciate you guys. Keep up the hard work with the city and all the things that you do with our vulnerable populations.
Take care, my friend.
Have a great day. And thanks, everyone, for commenting. We really appreciate you. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care. We'll be back same time, same places, on the same platforms tomorrow, God willing. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao for now, everyone. Have a great Wednesday. Ciao.
You got it?
News Talk on the morning shift.